Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing your economics exam preparation series. This is topic 10, the final topic in this series. We are discussing economic development versus economic growth. This topic appears in your exams every single year. In this lesson, you will learn the meaning of economic growth, the meaning of economic development, the key differences between them, the characteristics of developing countries, the factors that affect development, and how to answer exam questions. Let us begin. First, what is economic growth? Economic growth is an increase in the quantity of goods and services produced by an economy over time. It is measured by the increase in real gross domestic product, or real GDP per capita. Economic growth is a quantitative concept. It is about more cars, more houses, more food, more clothes. Economic growth means the economy is producing more than it did before. Growth is usually measured as a percentage rate. If a country's GDP grows by 5%, it means the economy produced 5% more goods and services than the previous year. What is economic development? Economic development is a broader concept. It includes economic growth, but it also includes improvements in the quality of life. Development means better education, better healthcare, better nutrition, longer life expectancy, lower infant mortality, more political freedom, and more equal distribution of income. Development is a qualitative concept. It is about better, not just more goods, but better lives. A country can have economic growth without economic development. For example, if the benefits of growth go only to a small group of rich people, the majority of the population may not see any improvement in their lives. That is, growth without development. Let me explain the key differences between economic growth and economic development. Growth is about quantity. Development is about quality. Growth is measured by GDP. Development is measured by the Human Development Index, or HDI, which includes life expectancy, education, and income. Growth can happen in the short run. Development takes a long time. Growth is possible without development. Development is not possible without some growth. Growth focuses on production. Development focuses on people. Growth is narrow. Development is broad. Now let me explain the characteristics of developing countries. Developing countries are countries with low levels of income, low levels of industrialization, and low levels of human development. They are also called less developed countries, or the Global South. Most countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America are developing countries. There are several common characteristics. First, low per capita income. The average income in developing countries is much lower than in developed countries. Many people live on less than $2 per day. Poverty is widespread. Second, high population growth. Birth rates are high in many developing countries. The population grows quickly. This makes it difficult to raise living standards because the gains from growth are spread over more people. Third, dependence on agriculture. In developing countries, a large percentage of the workforce works in agriculture. Agricultural productivity is low. Many farmers produce only enough for their own families. There is little surplus to sell. Fourth, high unemployment and underemployment. Many people cannot find jobs. Even among those who have jobs, many are underemployed. They work fewer hours than they want, or they work in jobs that do not use their skills. Fifth, low levels of human capital. Human capital is the knowledge, skills, and health of the workforce. In developing countries, many adults are illiterate. Many children do not finish primary school. Healthcare is poor. Life expectancy is low. Infant mortality is high. Sixth, lack of capital. Developing countries have very little capital. Few machines, few factories, few roads, few ports. This makes production inefficient. Seventh, political instability. Many developing countries have experienced coups, civil wars, and corruption. Political instability discourages investment. Both domestic and foreign investors are afraid to put money into a country where the rules may change suddenly. Now let me explain the factors that affect economic development. There are many factors. First, natural resources. Countries with abundant natural resources like oil, minerals, or fertile land have an advantage. They can sell these resources to earn foreign currency. However, having natural resources is not enough. Some resource-rich countries are still poor. This is called the resource curse. When a country relies too much on one resource, it neglects other sectors. When the resource price falls, the economy collapses. Second, Human capital. Countries with better education and healthcare grow faster. Educated workers are more productive. Healthy workers miss fewer days of work. Investing in education and healthcare is one of the best ways to promote development. Third, capital accumulation. To grow, countries need to build more machines, more factories, more roads, more ports. This requires saving and investment. Countries that save and invest a larger share of their income grow faster. Foreign direct investment can also bring capital. Fourth, technology. Technological progress is the main driver of long-term growth. Countries that adopt new technologies grow faster. This includes better farming methods, better manufacturing processes, and better management techniques. Technology can come from domestic research or from copying and adapting foreign technology. Fifth, political stability and good governance. Countries with stable governments, low corruption, and the rule of law attract more investment. Investors need to know that their property will be protected. They need to know that contracts will be enforced. They need to know that the government will not seize their assets. Sixth, international trade. Countries that open their economies to trade grow faster. Trade allows countries to specialize in what they do best. It gives them access to larger markets. It brings foreign technology and ideas. Many developing countries have grown rapidly by exporting manufactured goods to rich countries. Seventh, foreign aid. Aid from rich countries can help poor countries build infrastructure, improve education, and fight disease. But aid has mixed results. Some studies find that aid helps growth. Other studies find that aid is wasted or even harmful. Aid can create dependence. It can be stolen by corrupt officials. For aid to work, it must be given to countries with good policies and good governance. Now let me explain the obstacles to development. Many things can slow or stop development. First, rapid population growth. When population grows faster than the economy, income per person falls. High population growth also strains schools, hospitals, and other public services. Second, debt. Many developing countries borrowed large amounts of money in the past. They now spend a large share of their government budget just paying interest on that debt. This leaves less money for education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Third, poor infrastructure. Without good roads, electricity, and ports, businesses cannot operate efficiently. Goods cannot get to market. Factories cannot run. Fourth, corruption. When officials steal public money, there is less for development. When businesses must pay bribes, costs rise. Corruption also discourages investment. Fifth, civil conflict and war. War destroys infrastructure. It kills people. It disrupts trade. It scares away investors. Countries that experience civil war often lose years of development. Sixth, disease. Diseases like malaria, HIV, and tuberculosis kill millions of people in developing countries. They also reduce productivity. People who are sick cannot work or go to school. Seventh, climate change. Many developing countries are in tropical regions that will be hard hit by climate change. Droughts, floods, and storms can destroy crops and homes. Poor countries have less ability to adapt to climate change. Now let me explain the measures of development. The most common measure is the Human Development Index, or HDI. The HDI is published by the United Nations. It has three components: life expectancy at birth, which measures health; expected years of schooling; and mean years of schooling, which measure education; gross national income per capita, which measures standard of living. Each component is given a score between 0 and 1. The HDI is the average of the three scores. Countries with HDI above 0.8 are considered very high development. Countries with HDI below 0.55 are considered low development. Norway, Switzerland, and Ireland have the highest HDI. Niger, Chad, and South Sudan have the lowest. Other measures of development include the Multidimensional Poverty Index, which measures poverty in terms of health, education, and living standards. The Gini coefficient measures income inequality. The Gender Development Index measures differences between men and women. The Environmental Performance Index measures environmental quality. A common exam question asks you to distinguish between economic growth and economic development. Here is a sample answer. Economic growth is an increase in the quantity of goods and services produced, measured by real GDP. Economic development is a broader concept that includes improvements in quality of life, such as better education, healthcare, and political freedom. Growth is quantitative. Development is qualitative. Growth is necessary for development but not sufficient. A country can have growth without development if the benefits go only to a small group. Another exam question asks you to explain the characteristics of developing countries. Here is your answer. Developing countries have low per capita income, high population growth, dependence on agriculture, high unemployment and underemployment, low levels of human capital, lack of capital, and often political instability. These characteristics are interrelated. Low income leads to low savings, which leads to low investment, which leads to low income. Breaking this cycle is the challenge of development. Another exam question asks you to list the factors that affect economic development. Here is your answer. Factors that affect development include natural resources, human capital, capital accumulation, technology, political stability and good governance, international trade, and foreign aid. Countries with abundant natural resources, well-educated workers, high savings and investment, advanced technology, stable government, open trade policies, and effective aid tend to develop faster. Another exam question asks you to explain the Human Development Index. Here is your answer. The Human Development Index, or HDI, is a measure of development published by the United Nations. It has 3 components. Life expectancy at birth measures health. Years of schooling measures education. Gross national income per capita measures standard of living. The HDI ranges from 0 to 1. Higher scores indicate higher development. The HDI is a better measure of well-being than GDP alone because it captures health and education as well as income. Let me summarize what you have learned. Economic growth is an increase in output measured by GDP. Economic development is a broader improvement in living standards measured by the HDI. Developing countries have low income, high population growth, dependence on agriculture, low human capital, lack of capital, and political instability. Factors that promote development include natural resources, human capital, capital accumulation, technology, political stability, trade, and aid. Obstacles to development include rapid population growth, debt, poor infrastructure, corruption, war, disease, and climate change. The HDI measures development using life expectancy, education, and income. That is all for Topic 10. Practice explaining the difference between growth and development. Practice identifying characteristics of developing countries. Practice listing factors that affect development. Practice explaining the HDI. Good luck in your exams.